welcome back to another video. This is week 2 of Funguary. I mentioned in my last video what Funguary was, and it is a monthly art challenge created by Fifal over on Instagram, where we are creating a mushroom. It's supposed to be a character every single day of February. I opted for doing it weekly. She did break it down into 4 lovely weeks. So last week was spooky themed mushrooms, and this week is colourful themed mushrooms. So we have a lovely array of colourful mushrooms here. So I will tell you which mushrooms we have in this selection for this week. We have the Amethyst Deceiver, we have the Blue Milk Cap, the Violet Coral Mushroom, the Parrot Wax Cap, the Turkey Tail, the Chanterelle, and the Mycena. So I love this week's. I think the colourful mushrooms are beautiful, and it's amazing the amount of colours and range you can get in nature is absolutely incredible. So I did sketch this and get all my reference photos over on my iPad again, like I mentioned last time, and then kind of sketched out on there the composition I wanted for my piece of artwork, which I then transferred onto my paper. The composition actually changed somewhat because I suddenly realised that I wanted to get the proportions at least a little bit accurate, and that turkey tail mushroom, they are usually, I mean, obviously they start off small somewhere, but usually they are massive on trees, and I kind of wanted to portray that. So I did sketch a small branch at first and then realised it needed to be a lot bigger than that, hence why I changed my idea a few times as I was sketching. And then once I'd had that composition done and sketched out, I have just gone in and started to lay some flat colour. So I had a look at the reference photos, kind of saw what was the lightest colour for each mushroom, and just laid on a very flat wash of watercolour just for the base there. This parrot wax cap that I'm currently working on now is a beautiful mushroom. It's so shiny and incredibly vibrant in colour. I just think it's a beautiful mushroom, and if you want a challenge of actually painting shiny things, I suggest doing that. It's a lovely one, and it's got a lot of depth in its gills as well, which I will enjoy capturing at the end of this video. But yes, I just laid down a little light wash of the colour like I mentioned, let that dry completely. I kind of work on different parts of the piece whilst another part is drying. I did go in a little bit too dark with this green grass here, but it is what it is. But yes, I kind of work on the separate mushrooms that are not directly next to each other so that they have time to dry in between the layers I start putting on them. So that's why you see me flit around between the mushrooms, and then I go in with a second layer, and this is just choosing kind of a deeper colour, adding in the shadows, leaving areas that I want the highlights to be, and kind of just almost having another sketching layer but with paint. So it just helps me add in where I'm going to define those shadows and those highlights, and just add a lot more depth to the mushroom. I apologise for the filming here. Sometimes when I film in real time and speed up, I actually don't notice when I'm trying to film that it's actually focusing on my hand quite a lot, so I do apologise a little bit. This is not really focusing on the artwork and more my hand. I need to remember to do that a little bit more. These are just things that I need to remember when I start filming, etc. But yes, I kind of worked on these purple mushrooms because they were similar in colour. This more corally mushroom here is a little bit more on the pink side, so I kind of wanted to work on that next so I could utilise that purple and just add a little bit more rose pink in there. I did struggle with this one a little bit. I felt like I wasn't really, it just felt like I was drawing lines and I wasn't really capturing any sort of skill in that mushroom, but it ties in. But yes, this is me adding those lovely deep craters in the blue milk cap. Oh, I really enjoy doing the craters in mushrooms. I think they're fabulous to do, and you know, I just think it brings things to life when there's something a bit more unique about the mushroom to put in there. I did I did enjoy doing the bark on the tree branch there that I put in. It was kind of hard to do, but in the end I think it looks okay. I mean, I wasn't working off a reference there, that was just me making up, and perhaps I should have brought a reference out for that. I think it may have, you know, maybe elevated my piece a little bit more if I'd actually worked on a reference there and actually made it look like something rather than something from my head, because more often than not things coming from our memory and kind of our imagination don't always turn out to be the best. But yes, I then started going in with my Faber Castel Polychromos pencils. This is where you can really just bring in some of that detail, and I mean, I could have continued with the watercolours and done a few more layers and really brought out some more colour and some more depth with the watercolours themselves, but I actually found that just going straight in with the pencil really helped as well, and I thought I definitely developed some lovely patterns and texture to the mushrooms. And another thing, I obviously have reference photos of each mushroom, but obviously my composition, the shadowing, like this amethyst deceiver is actually kind of overshadowing this mycena mushroom here, so I did actually darken that mushroom a little bit under there to kind of mimic the fact that it's got another mushroom over it, and the light's not going to be hitting it quite as much as the reference photo may show, so I did keep those things in mind as well. But yeah, I did enjoy, I try not to use black, but sometimes I mean, I have a lot of pencil crayons, but these Polychromos, I am limited in tons of colours. Like, I feel like I have enough colours, but in terms of maybe using a darker purple as the shadowing would have been better, but I went straight for the black because I didn't have a darker purple. But I think it works fine, it's absolutely fine, and it was quite nice to kind of try and mimic that ashy white colour on the stem there. And then I go in with the mycenas. It's kind of got a very nice like a sienna colour kind of mimicking through them, but they're a little bit see-through, so it was kind of nice to try and mimic that a little bit as well. And again, these craters were really fun to do. I'm just adding some darker colour into them, and then I actually add a little bit of white to these as well, almost to blend this colour out a little bit, and I add some of that dark blue to the edges to kind of create the illusion that that is a curved mushroom. Now back onto this wax cap. I think this is probably by far my favourite mushroom on this page, and it's actually slowly becoming my actual favourite mushroom in real life. I think it's a beautiful one, and I've really, like I said, if you want a challenge to kind of mimic shininess, this is a great one for that. And I kind of enjoyed darkening with this, and then going in and trying to replicate the gills and the immense detail on this mushroom, considering but this is one where I actually looked at the reference and realised it's actually quite a small mushroom. It's not as big as I thought it was, and I mean, putting all these mushrooms side by side, I'm probably very far off their proportions against one another, but I felt like I showed each mushroom off quite well in this piece, at least. You know, I could have very well done the turkey tail absolutely massive and had these miniature things underneath, but I wanted to show them off and show all the detail that I could get in there, and so that's why they ended up all being similar sizes in the end. But this mushroom, surprisingly, is very green, but it also had this very nice teal colour running through it, so I enjoyed kind of bringing that out a little bit. And then I go on to the coral mushroom. Again, I'm not the happiest with this one. I think I didn't get the detail. It just feels like I've drawn a load of lines. I should have darkened them a little bit more and maybe worked them a little bit more, but you always run that risk of overworking a piece, and I think I could have very well overworked this, especially against the dark bark that emerges in the end, and I don't know, I think it could have gone better, and I just could have brought more detail out in this piece. But next we do move on to the Chanterelle mushroom, and okay, so this Chanterelle has a lot of gills, and it's pretty much just gills at the top there, and I think the detail to get those gills in was kind of lost. I think I should have sharpened my pencil ever so slightly and kind of, I don't know, I think I should have just gone in with a bit finer with the details. I just think the girls are a bit lost. They're a bit haphazard. They're a bit all over the place on that one, which I'm not the happiest with. And again, this turkey tail, I don't think I got the depth. I don't think I got the angle correct. I perhaps should have changed the direction that this was holding onto this branch. It kind of just looks like it's floating there, and I'm not the happiest. But I mean, the left 4 mushrooms I think are my favourite on this piece. I think they look the best. I think they've turned out the best. But yeah, it is what it is. It's, you know, trial and error. I've not painted most of these mushrooms before, and yeah, you know, anyway, it doesn't matter. It's one of these things where you're never happy with everything on your piece. But yes, I go in with my gouache again. It's just the perfect thing to add highlights, and because these are colourful mushrooms, not black and white like the previous week, I did kind of go in with the white gouache, and then I used my pencils again to render that back to a colour, but it looks shiny, it looks highlighted, it looks, you know, the same colour of the mushroom. So that was just how I did that there. But anyway, I will let you watch the last bit of this video. I hope you've enjoyed. Please hit that thumbs up if you have, subscribe if you've not already done so, and I hope to see you in the next video.